What's going on, guys? It's Picsoleated, and today we're reviewing the infamous Rapper x Nike collab sneaker, a very peculiar collab if you ask me. It's the Kendrick Lamar x Nike Kenny Cortez 3, as you probably could have already guessed from the footage on screen. Now, I couldn't give you an exact release date for this shoe because it really had a staggered release. At first, it released on the Nike sneakers app in the States, and it wasn't just one release. There were a handful of releases that occurred in conjunction with the TDE Championship Tour, Kendrick's tour with his label mates. So pretty much the way it worked was, and you gotta follow me here, there are 6 slated tour locations where the sneakers and the entire Nike x TDE collection would drop. In these 6 locations that happened only during the time Kendrick and the TDE camp are touring those locations, a local boutique in that area would host the pop-up to sell the merch and sneakers. On top of that, the shoes would release online at the location of the concert at some point during the concert in the sneakers app itself. So if you attended one of those concerts, you had a chance to cop the kicks. Unfortunately and fortunately, one of those 6 locations is Toronto, and since Canada doesn't have the sneakers app, you had 0 chance of copping the sneakers through the sneakers app at our concert. The dates for Toronto's concert were June 11th and 12th, and I decided to camp out at the pop-up shop on June 11th to get these. If you want to see what that was like, feel free to check out my previous video. I covered it in full detail, somewhat. I also bought some merch, so check out what that looks like. Let's get more into it. Be sure to like or subscribe anytime during the video if you enjoyed it, and follow me on Insta for dope sneaker content at Picsoleated. The Kenny Cortez 3 is Kendrick's 3rd shoe with Nike. Although it's his 3rd shoe, it's not his first Cortez. Pretty much every shoe he's released with Nike has been a Cortez thus far. His first shoe was a white Cortez with "damn" stitched in all caps on it. That one is by far my least favorite of the bunch. The second shoe was an all red pair made with a similar mesh upper and white leather panel running through the middle. That one is by far my most favorite of the collection. And this black pair lays smack dab in the middle of those two for me. The Nike Cortez, a legacy silhouette from Nike, it is cemented in popular culture since Forrest Gump wore it as he ran all across the damn world. It was a successful shoe long before that, and many have credited it to the actual success of Nike. Yeah, the whole brand. It was released in 1972 at the peak of the Summer Olympics and saw incredible success in sales. Now, I've never owned a pair, so I felt the need to let those who probably haven't owned a pair either know a little bit of the history of it. I've always been on the fence of owning a pair of Cortezes just because I wasn't sure how they'd actually look on me. I've always seen them on TV and they'd always look decent, but whenever I try them on in person, I just look down and be like, why do my feet look like Philly cheesesteak sandwich buns? Yeah, the Cortez top-down view isn't the prettiest, but once you get past the small nuance that literally nobody other than you will notice, you'll find that the shoe actually does look great. You just gotta make sure to wear it right. The shoe retailed for 140 Canadian dollars, and the way I got my pair was by old-fashioned camping out and doing the time. We showed up to the pop-up at Livestock by around 6 to 6:30 a.m. and waited until the store opened at 10 a.m. The whole theme of this shoe is based off a character Kendrick Lamar plays known as Kung Fu Kenny. You've seen him in one of his music videos and all throughout his damn tour, as you saw him in a martial arts getup, but it goes even deeper than that. Kendrick claimed that the whole Kung Fu Kenny character or alter ego is a reference to Don Cheadle's character Kenny in Rush Hour 2, hence why you see Don in the DNA music video with Kung Fu Kenny. Pretty cool stuff. What I found very peculiar about this whole thing is that Kendrick had already released damn merch during his own damn tour, so it makes you wonder why he did it again. As it turns out, I'm actually really glad he did. I wasn't a big fan of the previous merch. They hosted a pop-up for that too last year or whenever it was, and I really wasn't too tempted to go for it for that very reason. The tees just said damn on them in that wavy text. Really, I wasn't ready to pay a premium just for that. But I digress. I bought a bunch of merch from the pop-up this time around, and I couldn't be more satisfied. The shoe design itself and the materials are very refreshing. The upper of this shoe is all black with red hits and is made of 2 primary materials. If you're familiar with the Nike Cortez, it is generally always made with an entirely leather upper. Although there have been few suede and nylon versions, the Kenny Cortez is majorly made of nylon. The side panels on the upper are all black nylon, with the lateral side having these Chinese characters embroidered on them. You'll see these Chinese characters on almost all his merch, and they roughly translate to "damn it," which is probably the closest they could get to damn in Chinese. The toe box panel is all black and is suede. It runs across the upper to reinforce the eyelets around the tongue. The heel counter is also made of all black hairy suede. The shoe comes with all black flat laces. You see a giant white leather Nike swoosh on both sides of the shoe, outlined with red stitching. The upper back heel area has a white leather patch with Nike in all red, and a red ribbon pull tab runs from the midsole looping to the top of the heel. The tongue is probably my favorite part of the shoe. It's all black, made of nylon like most of the shoe, but it has this red ribbon running alongside it with the text bedded back debossed onto it. And if that wasn't enough, at the top of the tongue, if you push the ribbon to the side, is the damn swoosh branding. On the inside of the shoe, we have this all white leather lining, but with a unique caveat. There's text on the side that reads Nike Cortez, preferably wear with shorts and tall socks. And this is kind of true. Honestly, aside from Forrest Gump, when do you not see them being worn like this? And speaking of immediately contradicting myself, it doesn't mean you can't go against this rule. I'm clearly wearing them with a pair of guapi track pants and not shorts. It's actually a common belief that in gang culture, these are worn with shorts and tall socks, but it's probably less a mark of gangs and more a testament to the fact that they need to be ready to run just in case shit hits the fan. We then have the classic Nike Cortez midsole in all white and with a black stripe, the classic zigzag grooves on the outsole. This pretty much means that as soon as you wear them outside, they're not going to be clean ever again. You can try all you want, but a white outsole will do that to your heart. When it comes to comfort, let's do a very brief deep dive into the history of the shoe. It was invented in 1972. No new tech, that's all you need to know. With that being said though, these are actually super light. There isn't much heft or bulk to it. Because of this, the shoe is very breathable and easy to wear. For a really old shoe, it's actually decently comfortable. The mesh material is really forgiving on your foot unless the shoe is too small for you, in which case I'd recommend you size up because mesh doesn't stretch out. The shoe does fit a tad narrow, so if you're hashtag duck feet gang like me, you may potentially have to go half size up if you're on the extreme end of that spectrum. I'm a wide foot, but I consider myself in the middle of that spectrum, and these fit just fine for me. When it comes to sizing, like I mentioned earlier, I went true to size. I'm a true to size 10, and a wide foot and size 10 fits fine for me. I can tell that if I went half a size down, these would be unbearable to wear, and half a size up would be too roomy for me. There actually are a few things that don't work too well with this shoe for me. The red ribbon running across the tongue, although I think is one of the coolest features of this shoe, it doesn't always look like the coolest feature of the shoe. Oftentimes when the tongue folds, it'll be too long for the tongue and make this huge arch lifting off the tongue. Like the shoe is earth and the ribbon is the biggest rainbow ever. At that point, it kind of looks out of place and has you asking, why is this thing even here? But if you can look past that, it's a real minute detail that you probably won't pay any mind to in real life. The only other minor issue I have with this shoe, and this is a potential issue, is that the shoe itself doesn't feel like it's made of amazing build quality. It just kind of feels like if I overexert myself while wearing these that I could potentially rip them. Now, because I could be completely wrong about that and these could last me years, I'm not going to hold it against it, but from my previous experience, based on what I feel right now, the shoe does feel a tad delicate to me. None of those things are real problems to me though, and just minor details I thought I should mention, but my one big gripe with this shoe is the quality of the materials, or lack thereof. When I first took the shoe out of the box, there were little bits that looked like lint sitting on the front portion of the midsole. At first I didn't know what it was and I just assumed it might have been some residue material left over from wherever the shoe was made, but it slowly dawned on me those tiny lint balls were bits of the hairy suede that broke off and was sitting on the midsole. For whatever reason, it was just weak enough that some potential friction between the box and the shoe while the shoe was being transported most likely caused it to lose some material. Now, I'm not sure if this is a common quality control issue or I just got a defective pair that had this issue. I will say this, it hasn't happened since that initial encounter, and I chalk it up to the shoe being transported from one place to another in a box, possibly encountering long periods of heat in the back of a shipping vehicle and tons of friction with the box, and I really hope it doesn't happen again, but when I saw that, it really took me by surprise. The shoes aren't outrageously priced or anything. At 140 Canadian dollars, they're a reasonable price, but with a special sneaker like this, or any sneaker really, you'd hope not to see a potential flaw like that. Overall, if you look past that, I'm thoroughly impressed with this sneaker. The theme, design, and execution is absolutely beautiful, from the palm tree tissue paper in the box to the embroidered Chinese characters and red ribbon on the tongue. There's nothing about this shoe I'm not impressed with. If you took anything from this video, please hit that like button and or subscribe to the channel. Do you think Nike did a great job of executing Kendrick Lamar's signature shoe, or do you think they could have done better? Let me know in the comments. Catch you later. Pixelated, out.
You